12th, 2026 at exactly 6 p.m. If we could all rise and pledge the flag, please.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Trustee Edwards is going to be a few minutes long, okay? Just for the roll call. All right, moving on to comments and correspondence. We are going to have some correspondence that was in your packet that I will read out loud after we have public comments. And we have one individual this evening, Mr. Billady.
Mike Billady, 707 Bass. I think last time I was here, I mentioned that I got public records on the last 15 permits that were pulled, and then we had water calcs in there. Since then, I've had a chance to go through the water calcs and using information that's available to anyone. 14 out of 15 are incorrect. And the biggest piece of the puzzle that I can verify is the pressure at the main. Now, that value that goes on that water calc is owned by the village. According to the state, they should be contacting, and plumber the builder should be contacting the village to get that value to start the water calc. So they can't even start the water calc without that value. So Safe Build is not reviewing that. There was no plumbing plans included in anything. So there's no way for them to actually verify that water calc. So although, as I've requested many times, they need to get that, they also have to make sure it's right. It's no different than building plans. You know, you've got structural, roof, electric, they should all be reviewed, but no one is reviewing plumbing plans because they don't exist. I can't verify the rest of the water calc because the information needed to do that is not available. So, but 14 of 15, just using the elevation, is incorrect. I mentioned a few meetings ago about Trailside, my concern there. Their water calc shows 70 PSI to me. Good about. Be lucky to be 50 at the lowest level house there. You know that's built on a hill. And they all say 70, whether it's at 800 feet or 840 feet there. So they're either they got their own independent pressure system or all their water calcs are wrong. So something that really needs to be done. Obviously, I'm forwarding all this information to the state. At the same time, I'm racking up, $15,000 in legal bills already. I got a quote for $25,000 to fix my house, the plumbing in my house. We need to quit building houses that are not compliant. Period. Just one thing mentioned on the Blinsky thing, the rezoning. I just hope that legal counsel and the board review the notes from back in 2017 when the statements that Blinsky made when they had this area rezoned to business and was included in the 2018 plan. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, sir.
I apologize for being late.
Apologize for that sweater.
Wait, time for a little history. The Chicago Bears actually practiced at Carroll College in the 1940s, and the Bears actually bought the C from Carroll College. I worked at Carroll College for 10 years. This is actually a Carroll College sweatshirt. Thank you.
Thank you for that history. I did not know that. It's good to know, and as a Packer fan, I'm rooting for your Bears now going forward. So
Yeah, I wouldn't root for you.
Thank you. There we go. I think that says it all about us. Okay, moving on here. In our board packet, there are actually one email that was sent to our village clerk asking to be read during correspondence. Another one was just sent to Rachel and village clerk again today at 3:02 p.m. So that could not make it into the packet, obviously. So I have had conversation with this resident, and I promised them that I would read their emails as they would like it to be public. they did not feel they could emotionally be here tonight to do it themselves. So I'm going to honor that request and read the emails in order that I received them. So bear with me. Bear down. So the first email was sent from a resident, Christine Schaefer, on Monday, January 5th, 2026. This was sent to all of us. Good afternoon. My name is Chris Schaefer. I moved to Waterford on July 31st of 2025. Previously, I lived on a 20-acre parcel in East Troy, which has been my only residence in the U.S. prior to this most recent move. Unfortunately, it did not occur to me to look at village ordinances prior to contracting for my house, construction in Waterford. Therefore, I now live in Waterford on Fox Isle Park Drive with my 4 dogs, which apparently is not allowed by village ordinance. When I was informed of this ordinance, I read it to see if there is a grandfather clause that allows one to keep one's pets if moving with them. There is no such clause. My dogs are aged 14 and a half, 13 and a half, 8.7, and 5 and a half. The youngest one being a Great Dane with a life expectancy of around 8 years. At least, had I known of this rule, I would not have chosen to invest in Waterford, as I am unwilling to kill one of my beloved pets. Therefore, I am requesting an exception to the 3-dog rule for my existing dogs. Thank you in anticipation of your earliest attention to this matter. Sincerely, Chris Schaefer. We then, as I said earlier, received another email. Today, well, actually, I take that back. Sunday at 3:02, not today. I apologize. This email is as follows. Good afternoon. I write today to add to my appeal for an exception to the rule that one can have only 3 dogs in the village of Waterford. As I stated previously, I moved here on July 31st, 2025. We had a lovely house built by local builders and contractors to support Wisconsin independent companies rather than a large conglomerate. This is to be our retirement home. My husband is a retired teacher. I am an advocate for children with special needs, looking forward to retirement in a nice town. Before moving, I checked the rules on chickens, finding that I was allowed 3 chickens. Therefore, I gave my flock of about 25 chickens to my previous neighbor, a farmer, and got 2 baby chicks for my new property. My 4 dogs are all rescues. The Great Dane has a deformed foot, so no one wanted him except me. My little bull terrier was used as a bait dog until she went to the MAADAC. I'm not sure what that stands for. I apologize. From where I adopted her. Okay, I thought it was something that.
It's a rescue agency for animals.
A lot of letters for.
Yep, gotcha.
My lab mix had health problems that required $6,000 surgery at the age of 6 months, so his owner abandoned him. I rescued him and had the surgery performed at my cost. My little 25-pound terrier was 8 weeks old when I saved her from being destroyed. The little terrier, Coco, at age 14 and a half years, has early stages of terminal cancer. The vet states that she has a few more good months before we'll need to put her to sleep. I understand that an exception may set a precedent. However, I doubt that you will receive many appeals for a family with 4 dogs, one of whom will probably not live out the year of 2026. I have been devastated by the idea that I may have to give up one of my dogs. I ask you to show leniency for the few months that Coco will be able to remain with us. At that point, I will never ever own more than 3 dogs at the most in Waterford. I went to the village hall a few days ago to try to make an appointment to meet with the village president. I was told I need to contact him myself, so I left a voicemail on his cell phone. As I left the village hall, I was struck by a photograph on the notice board that states that Waterford is a small town with a big heart. I very much hope that this is true. I will not be attending the village meeting on Monday evening as this topic is too emotional for me to appear in person. Sincerely, Chris Schaefer. So, like I said, I had some correspondence with Chris Schaefer. I told her I would read her emails aloud as she wanted the public to hear that. We do have an ordinance that states 3 dogs. I do believe we have no appeal process to the ordinance.
You have 3 functional options. Option number 1, it's kind of a joke in city management, punishable by fine is legal for a price. So ultimately, anything that is not criminal has a cost associated with it, and there is a fine in our forfeiture section. Ultimately, the process could just be carried out. There'd be associated fines with that. The individual would come in front of Judge Bob and plead his case and say, hey, here's why I did what I did. You guys could give direction on that. Hey, this is how we feel about it, one way or the other, in terms of how you would like to see the case prosecuted and carried out. Ultimately, paying a fine, keeping the animal for the remainder of the animal's life. Option number 2, seek a conditional use permit via the zoning code, which would upgrade the status to that of a commercial operation. Realizing fully it's not a commercial operation, it's an end around what you have in chapter 87-18, which will allow more animals to be in place. It would take longer to work that out. You ultimately could say, hey, we're just going to stay prosecution of this, or direct staff to stay prosecution of that while the Schaefers worked out a conditional use permit process via the plan commission. Maybe the animal passes way before that, they withdraw. There is a cost associated with that. Option number 3 would be an ordinance amendment. This has come up for discussion a few times since I've been here 8.5 years. And each time it was based on a singular case coming forward where someone moved to the village that didn't read the ordinance. And found out after living here for 1, 2, 3 years, whatever it is, that, oh wait, there's no ordinance in place, I can't have more than 3 animals. And to my memory, all of those resulted in the rehoming of an animal, so that they could remain in compliance or then looking for another place to live. So as I see it, those are your 3 choices that they put in front of you tonight.
Well, I'm just kind of confused. So no one in the village can breed dogs?
So if you bred dogs, there's a section in here about puppies and licensing, so they're ultimately rehomed out relatively quickly. If they were to do it as a commercial activity, then they would fall under that conditional use permit process I was discussing.
Honestly, I have no problem with people having more than 3 dogs. As long as it's not a nuisance. You know, someone with 25 cats, that's another issue, but.
So since this is just a correspondence right now and not an actual item on the agenda, you can all either reach out to me how you want to progress with this, or right now, there's just a majority or show of hands that actually want to entertain, doesn't need to be a majority, that want to entertain the ordinance and discuss the ordinance or change the ordinance or whatever. We can put that on the agenda for next month.
I concur. I will raise my hand in that.
So,
That's all we need.
yeah, that's all we need. We don't need, I just wanted to gauge where, this was at, and I will follow up with, Schaefer about that and, tell her that this will progress to next month and we'll have a conversation on the ordinance, adjustment, change, or keep it the same. Okay? All right, moving on then, I don't think we have any public appearances that I'm aware of, do we, Rachel? Or Zeke?
No, not more. Brett, anybody sound to speak?
Well,
You already got it.
yeah.
Okay.
Looking for reading and approval of our minutes from our December 15th, 2025 village board meeting.
So free.
Motion and a second. Any questions, comments on those minutes? All right, hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Minutes are approved. We have no licenses to approve tonight. So we'll move on to the report of our department heads. Anything from the DPW director?
Reports in the packet.
Okay, any questions? Rick?
Yeah, I do.
Okay.
With the brine, I haven't seen so much brine on the roads lately. What's going on with that?
It's because of the weather conditions. It's always, so the plan was to brine on Friday, or this gonna rain before the snow.
Yeah, it's a waste of money. Gotcha. Cool. I was just, last year during this time, it seemed like you guys did a very good job of, I would see the strips going up and down the road. I just haven't seen them as much, but that makes sense.
That's
Thank
fine.
you.
Anything from Parks and Facilities, Mike?
Well, I'd like to just thank the Lions Club for stepping it up over Christmas at the ice rink. Volunteers, they had skate rentals all week. They did this very successful. So.
Excellent. Any questions
Is there any
for Mike? Anybody up here?
Keep up the good work.
All right, moving on to our library director. Good evening, Jessica.
Hello. Just a little report here. I want to mention that in the year 2025, we had 47,509 people visit the library. 28 new people got library cards in the month of December. We had a Believe in the Magic of Reading family holiday celebration in December with 150 attendees. It was a great community event that featured therapy dogs, high school groups, and live piano music. We also had a blood drive in December. 57 people came to open piano in December, and then another 65 attended a piano recital put on by a local piano teacher, so that was lovely. I also wanted to mention that the library has a new logo and a new store open, so that's very exciting for us, and of course all those proceeds go back to the library. And then also I wanted to mention that we are turning our storytelling room into a creative play space, so we will be rotating that topic each month and making it a fun creative pretend play space for preschoolers and school-age children. Okay, any questions?
I just have one. How's the extended hours going for you guys?
They're going great. Thank you for asking. Last week was the first week.
Okay,
So,
cool.
a little too soon to say.
Awesome. But no, thank you for doing that. I think that's what the community needed.
Thank you, Jessica. Fire Chief Rosina. Good evening, sir.
Good evening, guys. Real quick, thing, we had a total of 11 fire calls for the month of December. 2 of them were motor vehicle accidents, 5 were MAVIS, fire requests from different jurisdictions around us. We had 4 single engine responses like alarms or gas leaks. We had 3 trainings, 1 meeting, and we actually went to Rochester Fire Department for a meet and greet. Right before Christmas, that was nice. Just real quick, I don't think you guys have heard about the EMS calls lately, but we had 83 in December. Our highest amount of calls per day were 7 in December. So we had 7 calls in 24 hours. And for total calls in 2025, it was 1,087. So, you guys have any questions?
Keep up the good work.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Chief. Police Chief is not here. Anything from Rachel, the clerk? Anything from Administrator Jackson?
No, sir.
All right. Moving on, we have no confirmation tonight of any committee. Swear in. Moving on to the Waterford Area Chamber of Commerce. I believe I see Pastor Conrad and Donna.
Alright, thanks for having me, everyone. I'm gonna do a little bit of a 2025 recap because I have not been here at all in basically 2025 to share any of our information with you. So I'm gonna recap things and then share a bit about 2026 from us. So we ended 2025 with 74 partners, and now we've started 2026. We already have 30 renewals, and I'm actively communicating with 6 potential new partners who have not been part of the chamber. We hosted a few educational programs that were successful, which we will be continuing into next year. In fact, we have a goal of having at least 1 a quarter for educating our businesses on social media marketing, AI, boosting economic development, and other grants and programs like that. We did a few successful events, and we also partnered to do a few successful events. Celebrate Waterford, Small Business Saturday, the Christmas Parade, Polar Express went really well this year. Christmas decorating contest, we partnered and assisted with Food Fest, and we've done solid volunteering throughout the community. We also have a customer service award that started at the end of 2025 and will continue through 2026, and that's been very fun to see who people nominate and to see why they nominate them. It's been fantastic. it's been really fun to see. So behind the scenes, I'd like to share that maybe at the end of the year because it's been fantastic. People really love our Christmas service people. In marketing, Facebook, we grew by 28%. The whole year of 2025, we had 3.23 million views. That's an average of 269,000 a month. So we have really great organic reach to share information about our businesses, community events, and whatnot. Instagram grew by 7%. We did some print advertising to showcase our community as a whole. We have an ad in the highlighter that goes out once a month. We advertise in Fun in Wisconsin, the summer and winter edition this year. So the winter we highlighted the ice rink, and the summer we highlighted a bunch of our fun events. And then we also did these special events in Wisconsin, the summer and winter edition. So again, we have the ice rink in there for the winter. And then in the summer we showcased Food and Fun first and our events as well, and some other community events, Lions Club stuff. We also published our chamber guide, which is now out for 2026. It's in the rack out front. And I will be restocking those throughout the year, and they have been distributed as well to local businesses and Racine County, Visit Racine County. We had a strategic planning session, which was much needed for our chamber. So we are focused on a really great 2026. We came up with a vision and a mission statement we're very proud of, and 8 goals for 2026. I will share the goals later because we're tweaking those a little bit. But our vision is, we envision a robust chamber that drives growth, champions a diverse and vibrant business culture, and creates a destination where people work, shop, and raise families. Through strong partnerships and successful collaborations, we will give back generously to the greater Waterford area as a leader in Racine County. And our mission is to support, promote, and advocate for businesses to create a thriving greater Waterford area. So we have 2 goals for each of our pillars, and our pillars are connecting community, building relationships, providing promotions and visibility, and advocating and educating. So we're like really thrilled about 2026, and then the future, of course. In the coming months, we'll continue to focus on business visibility, sustainable community events, partnerships that support Waterford's economic and quality of life goals. Any questions?
Sounds great. Thank you. Thank you. Alright, moving along some of this here. No.
January is Cervical Health Awareness Month. You may go to National Cervical Cancer Coalition for low cost or free smear testing. Also wanted to remind you that the cold and flu season is still upon us, and to be cautious when washing your hands, covering your mouth and nose when sneezing, etc. And that radon kits are still available through Racine County Public Health if you want to have your basement tested. That's all I have.
Thank you, Tammy. Matt, anything from?
Nothing to report this.
Okay. Back to you, Tammy, library board?
Yes, as Andy had mentioned, we did extend the library hours for 2026, starting in January. We have an additional 5 hours every week on Tuesday nights and Thursday mornings. In addition to that, as our director mentioned, there is now a new logo, so they also have t-shirts and hoodies that are available for purchase. That's all I have.
Alright, thank you, Tammy. Alright, moving on to new business. Item number 1 tonight, discussion on a recommendation to accept a 3-year standby generator service proposal. Consider an appropriate motion for action.
This one comes in front of you just because it's over a 1-year term. That's a budget policy.
So, my clarification. Guess, there's no other comments on that. I'm looking for a motion to approve.
I'll make that motion.
Motion by a second. Hearing a second, any other questions, comments on the 3-year standby generator service proposal? Alright, hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion carries. Alright, moving on to item number 2, hearing by the village board on on 87-13B, vicious dog notice. Testimony of the dog owner and the WPD, and we will consider an appropriate motion for action.
So we received a written statement from the dog owner. I'll read that one to you. I apologize, I am not able to be there at 6 p.m. tonight. I am emailing you to request a later. I'm trying to get in touch with not being able to get a hold of him. I'm assuming attorney is what she probably left out there. With such short notice being is that I just received the mail last night for this hearing tonight. I'm asking a 30 to 90 day period to try to revamp my resources and information on this matter. I'm attaching photos of the letter I received last night. Again, I apologize, looking forward to hearing back from you to resolve this matter. So this was sent out via certified mail. 12/23. My understanding via a telephone call with Kathy Lindblom that Mr. Moore had was that the landowner received the mail on behalf of the tenants in a single-family subdivision rented to multiple parties that has been an issue property for some time. That we've had a number of law enforcement visits to and a number of citations issued to. So whether that fact of the letter arriving late or not the point. So ultimately tonight you're convened under this item not as a legislative body. So you're not thinking about the law in that regard. You have the role of 7 judges tonight, if you will, in a quasi-judicial capacity. For those of you that were on the board when we did a review of Dizzy's alcohol license, that same thought process applies here in terms of quasi-judicial rather than legislative. The ordinance was in your packet. This is 8713, harboring certain animals prohibited. It's further defined within the ordinances that were adopted back in 2006 and amended in 2010 as to what defines a nuisance animal. I've been here 8.5 years. We've now gotten 3 of these in the last 60 days. There'll be 2 more of these coming up. And it rains and pours, so just understand that this isn't a one-off, and then you're going to go back to it. You've got 2 more of these coming up right behind this one. Ultimately, disposition of nuisance or vicious animals upon verified notification of violation of section of the board will make a determination as to whether the animal is a public nuisance or it is vicious. So it's not, do we like the dog, do we not like the dog, how do we feel about the dog, how do we feel about the owner, how do we feel about the owner's situation. Those would all be legislative functions. The judicial function is, was there a recorded attack that is in fact an attack that were mitigating circumstances to it. In making its determination, the village board shall consider the circumstances may determine that an animal is not vicious if 1, death, injury, or damage is sustained by a person who, at the time such was sustained, was committing trespass upon the premises occupied by the owner of the animal, or was teasing, tormenting, abusing, or assaulting the animal, or was committing or attempting to commit a crime, or violating or attempting to violate a statute or ordinance which protects person or property. 2, death, injury, or damage was sustained by a domestic animal which was teasing, tormenting, abusing, or assaulting the animal, provided, however, that this section does not apply to animals trained for use for fighting. Or 3, the animal is protecting or defending a human being with the immediate vicinity of the animal from an unjustified attack or assault. It goes on to have a sub B, which is no animal may be declared vicious for acts committed by the animal while being utilized by law enforcement officer for law enforcement purposes. So the communication I received from the resident, and from what I understand from our clerk of court, Kathy Lindblom, the resident did not assert any one of the 3 preclusions that would allow the board to find no, this wasn't a vicious attack or vicious issue. Vicious animals avail themselves of the appeal right to say, hey, I'm, no more than 10 days after receipt of notice of order or with the time designated on the order, this one out on 12/23. So that would have had to have been in by January 2nd, for them to be within their time window. So at this time, given action by the police chief, the letter included in your packet on page 10, I would ask the board to find by action of the Racine County Health Department that this dog is indeed a vicious animal. Email is included from Racine County Health Department. They're the ones that notified us of this. We disseminated this out to staff so the staff could be aware of it. And our chief escalated it on to here as part of his job functions. So the notice reads, one of our dangerous animals has reportedly moved to Waterford. The dog is a white pit bull named Petey. Animal owner is Mandy Colette Namur. Last known phone number is given there as a matter of public record. Petey bit a person and a dog on 5/19/25, and that was how the Racine County Health Department deemed the animal a dangerous animal. The animal was not compelled to be destroyed based on that, but the Racine County Health Department tracks the animal as a vicious animal. You have an ordinance that protects residents against vicious animals. An additional testimony was submitted via the HOA president, Mr. Fred Kohler. He writes to me, Mr. Jackson, the Waterford Land and the Fox Association HOA Incorporated supports the removal of the vicious dog located within the HOA at 845 River Ridge Circle pursuant to Village Ordinance 8713B. Our overriding concern is for the safety of the neighboring children and pets. Respectfully submitted by the Association Board. Sincerely, Fred Kohler, HOA President. Any questions for me?
How old was the dog?
I do not know. Not material. It's not defined in the ordinance for an age limitation. It's really defined if the activity
We're
occurred.
doing judicial. I mean, knowing the history, knowing the age, I think you gave us a little bit of background on the ownership and the problems at the property.
Yes, sir.
It helps make more of an educated decision.
Right, and we're not privy to the notes of.
So ultimately, Racine County Health Department has said, we're giving you notice, the dog has bit someone and bit an animal, and those two items make the animal eligible under our definition of a vicious animal. So we're taking testimony of Racine County Health Department as.
Is this two different incidences or is this one incident?
It says on 5/19.
So people are walking a dog. Most of us are pet owners. We've had these situations where something comes up, something happens. But what I'm looking at is the history of it. If we're being judges, I need history. And so I'm looking at this because I've owned German Shepherds and people get all freaked out about me having a Shepherd because it can be a violent dog. But what I'm thinking here is there was an interaction where someone got bit, a pet got bit, what happened? But now I need to know the history of the owners. Are we privileged to that?
You are not. So
The unfortunate part for me is the owner of this dog is not here.
Yeah, and I'd like to.
He's hearing that, that's the hard part, right? It's judge without.
And does that make it a fair hearing?
So the owner, this is all points of law, right? So fair, not fair, transparency within the law is really the thing that's there. So when it is the responsibility of all residents to either obtain legal counsel or read the law for themselves in order to determine what is or isn't going to proceed.
So are we looking at the destroy the dog?
No, at this point, the only thing that would be required under our ordinance is relocation outside the jurisdiction. It doesn't compel destruction. So you're essentially saying, hey, the Racine County Health Department has notified us that the animal has been deemed dangerous, and the ordinance compels you to move that animal out. They get an opportunity for a hearing. We're meeting the due process requirements by holding such hearing tonight.
Did you get a reason why the owner's not here tonight?
The reason that we were given was that the landlord withholds mail and distributes mail at a later date.
Because honestly, like to have them in front of us, to have to hear their argument before I make any judgment, and that's just fine.
But they have an appeal, they can appeal whatever we rule, correct?
So they, well,
I mean, I agree. I wish this person was here.
I wanna hear their side.
if the owner wishes to appeal the order of the board, such appeal shall be in writing and filed with the clerk within 10 days of the notice of order. So if you guys took action tonight and said, hey, the animal needs to be relocated, we're gonna go issue written notice, she's got 10 days beyond that
We
first,
can,
beyond tonight.
we can hear, or someone can hear it at 10 days, that's what I would say.
Right.
And if the HOA says, hey, we want them out of here, and Racine County's telling us they want it out of here, and I don't wanna take the responsibility if that dog bites someone else. And if she has something to say, she can come back on appeal. That's my thing.
One point of clarification, it's not the county, Racine County, it's the city of Racine Public Health Department that,
Sorry. I misspoke.
Has there been any incidents at the HOA? I mean, is it, you don't know when you got a dog that's crazy in your neighborhood. But has that HOA made any complaints?
Obviously, no.
I probably lean to Pat's vision on going forward. We follow through with what our ordinance is. It's an appeal process. I guess I would ask Rachel or whoever's going to correspond back to Mandy DeMore. Is there a way that the communication that she sent to you? I guess what I'm saying is I don't want it to go to certified mail if we have a landlord for some reason that's holding mail.
So I think we will three-way serve this. One is gonna be by email from the email address that she sent it to me on. Another will be via certified mail. The third will be physical process service.
Okay.
All right, so we will make an attempt to serve it on her person at the home via sworn officer. And we'll take whichever one of the three of those arrives the latest as the shot clock for a 10-day appeal. She's mentioned she's attempting to find an attorney. Okay, fine. You've got the appeal process here with which to have an attorney in. If she chooses to do so.
I think that is the fair process to our ordinance, and that's the fair process if that is the way you will go about contacting her. There's three ways that that's covered, and I think that's more than fair. I agree with Trustee Ward and Trustee Dunham that conversation should be had. Whatever the circumstances are, she's not here tonight. Let's let her choose to do the appeal process. And if for some reason that appeal process is not executed in those 10 days, then the dog has to be rehomed. So I'm looking for a motion to execute our ordinance as is and have,
So moved.
motion by second.
I'm gonna ask a amendment to the vote. So I've got to render a written order after this, and then Adam had you sign it. So I think what needs to be attached to that is that you're taking the testimony of the City of Racine Health Department and using their findings to define the animal as a vicious animal.
That's fine. Or I should
Yep.
make a motion, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I'll do that adjustment. So moved.
Okay, Bob.
I'll amend my second.
Any other comments or conversation on this topic? All right, hearing none, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? All right. That motion passes. Moving on to item number 3, consider a motion to convene into executive session pursuant to Wisconsin State Statutes, section 19.851C. Considering employment, promotion, compensation, or performance evaluation data of any public employee over which the governmental body has jurisdiction or exercises 2026, in the transparency era of closed session, we are going to have a discussion with the fire chief on an upcoming annual performance review. That being said,